Most people, they don't really think about Google. They just use it. Like if you have a question, you just type it in and in less than a second, you get an answer. That's the version of Google most people have in their heads. A search bar that works insanely fast. But that search bar, it gets used more than 8 billion times a day. And Google doesn't charge you for any of it. So that leads to a simple question. How do you give something that powerful away for free and still become one of the richest companies in the world? The answer is ads. Google doesn't just show you results, it decides what you see first. It decides what gets attention, it decides what gets ignored. And businesses, they don't just compete to be the best anymore, they also compete to be seen. And every time someone clicks on a sponsored result, Google gets paid. Like they get paid a lot of money. And then there's YouTube. YouTube started as a place to watch funny videos. If you wanted to watch cat videos, YouTube was the place to go. If you wanted to watch a kid in high school doing stunts after school, YouTube was the place to go. And Google came along in 2006 and they bought YouTube for $1.65 billion. A lot of people thought that was an insane amount of money to pay for a website that was full of home videos. But fast forward to today, YouTube has 2.7 billion users. People watch over 1 billion hours of videos on YouTube every single day. It's also the second most visited website on the web. It's right behind Google search itself. And YouTube, it runs on the exact same model as Google search. You watch for free and advertisers, they pay for your attention. If YouTube were its own company, it will be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But it isn't its own company. It lives inside Google, which means all of that attention, all of that money, the 2.5 billion people, all of it belongs to Google. And for a long time, this is how Google has been running things. You show up, they sell the fact that you showed up. And for a long time, that was enough. Until it wasn't. In 2014, Google paid $500 million for a company called DeepMind. At the time, it didn't look like a big deal. It just looked like Google was buying another AI research lab. But DeepMind, it wasn't trying to build apps, they were trying to solve intelligence itself. A few years after Google bought DeepMind, they built a system called AlphaGo. AlphaGo went up against a world champion in a game called Go. Go is extremely complex. Most experts thought it would take decades for a machine to figure it out. But AlphaGo won, and it didn't just win, it made moves no one had ever seen before. At first, people thought those moves were mistakes. Then they realized what was actually happening. The machine wasn't playing like a human, it was seeing the game in a completely different way. And that moment, it mattered, because it showed that this thing could take on a problem that had challenged humans for years, and it could find an answer in a way humans never would. And if it could do that with the game, the real question was, what else could it do? Then DeepMind turned its attention into something else, which was how proteins take their shape. Scientists have been stuck on this problem for over 50 years. Proteins are tiny parts in your body that do really important jobs, and their shape decides what job they do. Before, it could take years just to figure out one protein. DeepMind built AlphaFold. AlphaFold figured out shapes of about 200 million proteins. It was such a big deal that they won the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize in Chemistry. Then there's Waymo. Waymo started inside Google in 2009 as a project to build a self-driving car. When they started, people thought it was science fiction, they thought it would never work, they thought they were wasting their time, but Google built it anyway. Fast forward to now, Waymo is running fully driverless robotaxis across multiple American cities. All you have to do is open the app and then a car will show up and it will take you where you need to go, and there won't be a driver in front driving you. And you'd think that this is where it ends. It doesn't. Google still has its eggs on a lot more baskets. Pick up any phone that isn't an iPhone outside of China. What you are looking at is an Android operating system. In 2005, Google paid $50 million for a small startup called Android Inc. The iPhone didn't exist yet. Most phones still had physical keyboards. Android had no product, they had no revenue, and they had a team of fewer than 10 people. Google bought it anyway. Today, Android runs on over 3 billion active devices. It runs on phones, tablets, TV, car dashboards, smartwatches. It runs on a lot of stuff, and Google gives it away for free. Why do they give it away for free? Because every Android device comes with preloaded with Google Search, Google Maps, Gmail, and YouTube. Phones were just the start. Google also has Google Cloud. Google Cloud is where companies store their data, it's where companies run their software, it's where companies build their products. In 2024, Google Cloud brought in nearly $48 billion in revenue, and it is still growing fast because Google has been weaving its AI research directly into its cloud products. When a company wants to build something using Google's AI, they almost always have to do it through Google's cloud. The research lab and the business infrastructure are becoming the same thing. Google also has another company that wants to do something really cool. In 2013, it created a company called Calico. Calico's goal is to understand why people age and then find ways to slow it or stop it. Well, sadly, Calico hasn't stopped any of us from aging, but I am rooting for them. So the next time when you see the search bar or the Google logo, just know that there's a lot going on behind it that most people think about. A search engine became an advertising empire. An advertising empire funded some of the most serious science happening in the world. And all of it traces back to two people who just wanted to organize information.